The Sydney Opera House has now become a victim of virtue signalling. Whenever there is virtue signalling anywhere, they'll end up being hypocrisy, humiliation or other problems. And the virtue signallers are causing all sorts of controversy for one of our country's greatest landmarks. Yep, they used the great Nick Cave song to promote the place, "Come sail your ships around me," but everyone wants to project their feelings onto the beautiful white sails of this spectacular building. Maybe it's time just to let them be. You see, the thing is, you can't please everyone all the time. They want the Opera House to go dark, for instance, during Earth Hour, and then they want to splash it in a blaze of coloured lights for the Vivid Festival. I mean, make up your minds, people. I mean, they once did light up the sails to promote a horse race, for crying out loud. Who would have laid a bet on that outcome? That was a great controversy. We've seen other controversies too about other sporting events, whether they should be honoured, with the Matildas and their World Cup heroics finally getting the nod for the Opera House sails. And then there was the time some protesters took it upon themselves to use the Opera House as a daytime banner for a peacenik message, red sails in the sun. There was also a display on the Opera House sails last year to honour the death of Queen Elizabeth II. But there was outrage from monarchists this year because we didn't see a Union Jack on the sails for the coronation of King Charles. And the sails have often been lit up in the colours of countries hit by terrorism attacks or war, like Ukraine, or our cousins across the ditch in New Zealand after the 2019 Christchurch massacre, and France after the jihadist horrors in Paris in 2015. But it's all reached an ugly climax this month in the wake of the Hamas atrocities in Israel. The respectful decision to honour the victims and support Israel by lighting up the Opera House sails in the blue and white of the Israeli flag was met with ugly protests and hateful ranting.
Shame, Israel!
Shame, shame, Israel!
Shame, shame, Australia!
Shame, shame, Australia!
Just terrible stuff, isn't it? And supporters of Israel and the Jewish community, they were warned to stay away from this public act to express support for them. So it was just sad and counterproductive in the end, wasn't it? This is a public gesture, virtue signalling, if you like, turned into a focal point for hatred and bile. And now, get this, even while hostages from those Hamas attacks are still in captivity and being put through unspeakable trauma, and while Israeli families are still grieving and racked with worry, there are calls to light up the sails in the Palestinian colours. Why? To honour unknown numbers of innocent victims caught up in Israel's military response against Hamas. This is a call for moral equivalence via the public display of the Opera House sails. It's just not right. All civilian deaths are tragic, and we mourn for innocent Palestinian families as much as Israeli families. Yet it's Hamas who's ultimately responsible for all the deaths. Israel is not targeting civilians, but Hamas is hiding behind them. These are difficult decisions, and we'll get into all of that tonight. But as for those magnificent sails on that spectacular building in that wondrous harbour, well, perhaps they should just always be left as they are. White and splendid, reflecting the sunlight, the water, the moonlight, and whatever peaceful images we imagine. Let's stop using the sails as a billboard for what ultimately will always become a competition between political, religious, nationalistic or woke causes. Let's just sail the ships around them.